Hello, Dr. Staples Farmer. This is Alex Petty from your Period 5 American Literature D class, and this is my narrated PowerPoint over The Great Gatsby by F. Scott Fitzgerald. Daisy, rich, beautiful, socialite, insecure. Wife of Tom, lover of Gatsby. Lover of attention, strong reputation, and money. Who feels a longing for Gatsby and aims to model the ideal golden girl. Who needs Tom, her rich boy, and wealth and high social status and old money, who gives hope to the American dreamers, who fears deprivation of her social appearance and loss of old money, who would like to see the green light move to Gatsby stock, resident of the Golden Girl's house on American Dream Avenue in the Old Money Egg, Buchanan. Daisy Buchanan seems to be a rich, beautiful, and perfect golden girl. Nothing seems to be wrong, as she is a socialite with a strong reputation that is accepted by society. Alongside her wealthy husband, she seems to have no wants, but in reality, she is stuck with Tom in order to maintain her social status. After being reunited with Gatsby, Daisy was enthralled by Gatsby's tremendous display of new money. At this point in the story, she wants to be free and be able to make a free choice. Daisy represents the golden girl and F. Scott Fitzgerald's previous girlfriend. F. Scott Fitzgerald was told, "Rich girls don't marry poor boys." This helps to strengthen Daisy's character because she follows that motto to a T. Daisy's aha moment comes when she realizes Gatsby isn't the man for her, and Tom knows it when he states on page 135, "You two start on home, Daisy," said Tom, in Mr. Gatsby's car. She looked at Tom, alarmed now, but he insisted with magnanimous scorn, "Go on, he won't annoy you. I think he realizes that his presumptuous little flirtation is over." They were gone, without a word, snapped out, made accidental, isolated, like ghosts, even from our pity. The biggest external conflict Daisy faces in The Great Gatsby is her husband's affair. Throughout the majority of the book, Tom is so focused on Myrtle and distant from Daisy that he almost fails to recognize the affair between Daisy and Gatsby, which is right underneath his nose. When Tom does notice what is happening, he attempts to rationalize his actions by saying on page 131, "Once in a while I go off on a spree and make a fool of myself, but I always come back, and in my heart I love her all the time." By saying this, he makes Daisy's internal conflict even harder to overcome. Daisy eventually subconsciously or consciously resolved her conflict by killing Myrtle. When Daisy flattened Myrtle's corpse, she eliminated Tom's only major distraction. Daisy faces one major internal conflict as well, whether to choose Tom or Gatsby. The entire story builds suspense for the decision Daisy will inevitably make. As you already know, many factors influence her decision. On one hand, she can choose old money Tom, who has recently been cold, distracted, and distant. On the other hand, she can choose new money Gatsby, who is mysterious, attentive, and loving. Daisy, concerned about her social image, is utterly torn between these two men. She expresses her distress on page 132 when she cries, "I love you now. Isn't that enough? I can't help what's past. I did love him once, but I loved you too." She resolves the internal conflict the same way as she resolved the external one. By killing Myrtle, she chose Tom's attention, and Myrtle's death led to Gatsby's, which left Tom as her only option. It was after we started with Gatsby towards the house that the gardener saw Wilson's body a little way off in the grass, and the Holocaust was complete. Page 162. This quote really helps to describe the resolution of the previous events in the book. Wilson seemed to be avenging Myrtle's death, but there was only a total of 3 deaths. Yes, I understand this is a tragedy and all, but this sequence of events was described as a holocaust by the narrator. A holocaust means a destruction on a mass scale. Other than the 3 physical deaths, this symbolizes the death of Daisy's hope and the death of the American dream. When Gatsby and Wilson were killed, all hope for Daisy to leave her husband perished. When Gatsby died, his death represented the failure to find success, the failure to earn the Golden Girl, and the failure by not being able to capture that green light. Gatsby represents Fitzgerald and the emptiness he feels on his American dream odyssey. Gatsby believed in the green light, the orgastic future that year by year recedes before us. Page 180. The setting of The Great Gatsby is crucial in the understanding of the overall novel. Each place in the story represents a different part of society. East egg symbolizes old money, classiness, and an elegant form of wealth. West egg symbolizes new money, wildness, and a flashy show of wealth. The Valley of Ashes represents the lower and working class. It also represents the burning and dying American dream. This is a valley of ashes, a fantastic farm where ashes grow like wheat into ridges and hills and grotesque gardens, where ashes take the forms of houses and chimneys and rising smoke, and finally, with the transcendent effort of men who move dimly and already crumbling through the powdery air. Page 23. In contrast, New York is the poster child of the American dream, and the city symbolizes the opportunity for wealth and hope. I believe the most climactic moment in The Great Gatsby is when Nick learns Daisy killed Myrtle and Gatsby chooses to take the blame. Leading up to this moment, many suspenseful events occur. Some of the rising action consists of the affairs between Tom and Myrtle and Gatsby and Daisy, the confrontation inside the hotel, and the death of Myrtle. Only when we hear it was Daisy who ran over Myrtle do we totally grasp the feelings of betrayal, scandal, and crime. Was Daisy driving? Yes, but of course I'll say it was. It all happened in a minute. But it seemed to me that she wanted to speak to us. Well, first Daisy turned away from the woman toward the other car, and then she lost her nerve and turned back. Page 143. Prior to this moment, Daisy seemed utterly innocent. Was it murder or an accident? We don't know for sure, but it makes me wonder. After we learned Gatsby will take the blame, the suspense decreases as his future death is inevitable. Gatsby's death is a part of the falling action, and his funeral is the resolution, as it represents the death of the American dream. The most influential theme in The Great Gatsby is the corruption of the pure American dream by wealth. For example, Daisy is only concerned with maintaining her wealthy status. Her own daughter seems to be meaningless to her. She hopes her daughter will have the same life she did when she says on page 17, "That's the best thing a girl can be in this world, a beautiful little fool." Basically, Daisy wants her daughter to be an ignorant fool so she can marry rich the way Daisy did, rather than her daughter pursue the dream she yearns for. Both Daisy and Tom resort to affairs when their lives get boring, but Tom seems to care about his mistress. Whereas when Gatsby dies, Daisy chooses to fall back into the arms of her rich husband without thinking twice of her recent lover. I could only remember, without resentment, that Daisy hadn't sent a message or a flower, said Nick on page 174. The themes of The Great Gatsby recur throughout history. One notable example was Edward Kennedy, a famous old money powerhouse. He was involved in the Chappaquiddick incident, where a single vehicle car accident took the life of Mary Jo Kopechne while Kennedy swam free from the watery tomb. Kennedy then failed to report this incident for about 10 hours. Other theories circulate, but what is clear is that Kennedy's old money allowed him to escape unscathed and virtually unquestioned. He was even elected to the U.S. Senate, as his social stature and old money family name provided him practical immunity during this scandal. This scenario, along with Daisy's, illustrates how the lens of justice is blurred when old money is involved. And that is corruption at its finest. Today, social status and wealth are as important as ever. Fitzgerald displays social classes and their impacts on the American dreams of individuals. He demonstrated how wealth corrupts and decays the hopes of American dreamers. Ultimately, Fitzgerald argues The Great Gatsby is a cautionary tale. He uses Nick Carraway as a vessel to walk us through the corruption and social classes of the 1920s that are still prevalent today. The Great Gatsby is a timeless warning that can only be ended once we learn from these mistakes.